What's up, Closer Nation? It's your boy. I'm back. It's Whiteboard Wednesday. Y'all probably noticed that we weren't here last week, but we were here. We just weren't here to record a video. So I'm sorry if you missed out. It's the first time in history that we've had to take a week off. But my friends, I got to tell you this story. My friends flew me out. Well, actually, they're friends, but they're clients that flew me out to Ruidoso, New Mexico, which is, and they don't tell me all this when I'm getting out there, right? But anyway, so we go out to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and it just so happens that it's the world's tallest zip line. It is 12,000 feet in the air. Now, mind you, you may not realize just how tall 12,000 feet in the air is. Now, I skydived, I've skydiven, whatever the fuck, right? I jumped out of an airplane at 11,000 feet, and this mountain is 12,000 feet in the air. Now, first of all, I don't like heights, right? I don't live in the penthouse anymore, so I haven't even built up an endurance to fear of heights, right? When I lived in the penthouse, I go to the top of the building. Two things I knew for sure. Every day I was getting a little bit less scared, right? Because I'm working on endurance from the fear, and also knew that the rails on the side of my thing, they were good, right? This mountain didn't have any rails. They took me to the top of this thing. It's fucking cold up there, first of all, like really cold. And second of all, it's just like these dudes that I'm not sure if they were drunk or not, but they were definitely questionable, we'll just say, that are running this operation. And it literally, I thought maybe, okay, so it's 12,000 feet in the air, but you're gonna go down like the gondola does, and it's like, it's no big deal, right? No, it was like straight across, and they're talking about if you get stuck, we'll shake it or come get you. And I thought, oh, the fuck you will. I am not, I got kids. I got a business to run. Who's going to do Whiteboard Wednesday? It's like, well, you know, Stewman fell off a zip line out in the middle of the fucking, the whatever mountain range that nobody's ever heard of. This place was so far out in the middle of nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time in my life that I couldn't even score nothing to smoke, right? There was no plug for nothing. Like, we were in the middle of nowhere, right? But I got the code to the fella's house, so when the fallout happens, I know the spot to be. Let's just hope I got enough gas to get there, man, because it is in the middle of nowhere. Like, you fly to nowhere, and you, like, if you were to drop a compass on a map, and then you go to the middle of it, that's where we were, right? So here's the thing. Before we get into all this today, I know you've been reading that like, Ryan, you son of a bitch. Listen, before we get into all this today, I got to talk to you about this funnel closer program. Right now, we have people that are making $20,000 and more every single month, right? We've been doing this for 90 days now, every single month. We've got a community of over 300 people that are doing multiple six figures a year if you annualize this. Right now, from my funnel closer training, you can go over to funnelcloser.com. You can find out all about it. You can see the business in a box that I am going to hand you. You can learn all about it for free on the training. And if you want to take advantage of the business in the box, I'm telling you, there is a once in a lifetime opportunity in front of you right now. The fact that you're watching this video still after the stupid zip lining joke and everything else, but the fact that you're still watching this video means that you're hungry. You want more. You're not satisfied in life. You're not too egotistical to learn, you're not too narcissistic to know better, and you want something more in life. I'm telling you, the fact that you're here right now, you're here for a reason, and that reason is this message. Go to funnelcloser.com. That's where it's at. I'm telling you, I found the holy grail of sales. This is the thing that's so easy to sell. There's no delivery. There's minimal paperwork. All it is you having a conversation, getting money, because that's basically what sales is, right? Having a conversation. That's what Rick Ross says. He said, oh, sales ain't nothing but, no, he says, sorry, he's, money ain't nothing but a conversation. I had to channel my heavy breathing inner Rick Ross. Still sound like shit, but you get the point. Anyway, here's the thing. Getting money ain't nothing but a conversation. And so I put together a program of people who are dying to spend money with people who desperately need money in exchange for work. And I've paired the two of them up, and I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing and make a bunch of money. I've already created everything you need. Contracts, job boards, the network, the hookup, the whole thing. Just go watch it at funnelcloser.com. And here's what's important about that as we transition, call this the transition, right? We can't afford fancy graphics over here. So instead of like crazy fireballs or something going on there, I just have to wave my hands and hope that screens the camera. Anyway, so here's the thing. If you're in these jobs that we're about to talk about here, you definitely got to get over to funnelcloser.com, because we took a poll in the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group a couple months back. We polled our email address, and we asked a few of our closest friends what they thought were some of the most hated sales jobs on the planet. Like, what salesperson do you hate dealing with? Like if you never had to deal with that salesperson again, who would it be? Now listen, these aren't particularly the views of me, right? Because they're not in the right order, in my opinion. So these aren't particularly my views. These are views of the public, but I'm going to explain some things to you. Maybe you can make a difference in your industry. If you work in one of these, maybe if you work in one of these industries, you need to consider the funnel closer option as a better alternative. It's probably going to be more lucrative anyway. But so we asked the 5 most, is like survey says, still no sound effects or anything, I'm sure. But the number 5 is meat men. Now, you might say, what in the hell is a meat man? Have you ever pulled outside of a grocery store and someone rolled up in front of you with a freezer in the back of the truck and said, hey man, you want some steaks? We'll give you 50 of them for $10. He's usually chewing on like a weed, right? Got some boots on. I mean, after got some gloves on, because after all, you're selling meat out of the back of a freezer. It's cold. You got to keep your hands warm. You know what I'm saying? And so here's the thing. Those people, the meat men, they're everywhere. They come knock on your door all the time. You know, they call you. Hey, you looking for some meat? Omaha Steaks doesn't have a sales department beating on your door, right? Like Omaha Steaks knows. They're like, Omaha, we got some good ass steaks over here. They just come to us, they order them online, no big deal. But for the rest of the steak companies, their business model must be go out, hit doors, try to say, like, could you imagine, I've never done this before in my life, right? Could you imagine someone coming to your door and they're like, hey, I've got meat for sale, and you're like, really? Tell me more. Now, I see that this used to happen because like when I was a kid, the Schwan man used to come around. You remember the Schwan man? And he would sell like packages and shit. And like as a little kid, I would be like, hey, you know, yeah, I'm gonna do some dum-dums. Let me get some drumsticks, right? Let me get some of them little pizza bites. Right? Like that was the thing. But as a kid, you don't really think much about it. But that was because our parents, they didn't have grocery stores and distribution and all that shit like they do these days. The fact that Amazon will bring stuff to your house. Like Amazon will sit meat in your front porch, right? With frozen blocks on it and everything. Why would you trust an outside source? Plus, here's what people that have bought from meat men typically say. They say that shit tastes like some meat you bought off the street, right? Really? I don't know any other way to put it. This shit's not gourmet, or they wouldn't be giving away 50 steaks for $10. But it's funny how they pitch it, because they show up and they're like, I've got $10,000 worth of meat that I'll sell you for $500. No, I've been to federal prison, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen the meat that they feed people in there, and that shit's higher quality than some of the stuff that people come knock on our door trying to peddle. Here's the thing, meat men, terrible job. And listen, it's not Amazon shows up and delivers to your door. If you're still working in that industry and you have some semblance of sales skills, like if you're good at what you do, because listen, if you're good and you can sell meat door to door, you can go out there and sell some other stuff and make a lot more money and get paid a lot higher. Funnelcloser.com is one of those places you can check that out. Number 4 is MLM. This one, in my personal opinion, is not ranked high enough. Because listen, I have friends that do multi-level marketing. I have millionaire friends that own multi-level marketing companies. It's just not for me. But I know the consensus as a whole is that most people don't like network marketers. And you might be a very good, successful network marketer watching this, right? I get it. There's people out there that make a lot of money, that drive Ferraris, live in the big houses, make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I know. I just had Wes Melcher, who's one of the original World Venture guys, speak at the Break Free Academy reunion. I have friends that are way high up in multi-level marketing companies, right? But here's what I do know. The majority of the people in that industry are morons. There, I said it. And here's why. Because the industry preaches to the masses that morons can make money from it. What the industry needs to do is it needs to make the shift and sell to the masses and just have a few people making the money, right? That's what would make more sense to me, because the problem is we get all these idiots involved in there and they're hitting you up in the mailbox, in the DM, in the inbox, and then when you go to the store, you pick up the $100 drop cards. I know, I used to do the shit, right? All these things that are out there, they confuse people. People, you get invited, I'll never forget. And this is one of the reasons why you're number 4 multi-level marketing people. My now wife, she was my girlfriend back then, Amy, one time came up to me at this lady that she'd met at a party, a networking party that I was part of, and Amy was like my date, right? And the next day she said, so I met Laura. We'll say her name's Laura. She said, well, I met Laura, and Laura wanted me to come over. It turns out she's a makeup artist, and she wanted me to come over, and she wanted to like do my makeup before I go out on Friday night. And I'm like, for free? And she's like, yeah. She said, absolutely for free. And I'm like, look, first of all, my suspicion, right? I'm a suspicious person by nature. So I'm like, why would somebody, if they're a makeup artist that does it for a living, just like hook you up a complete stranger that you met at a networking party for free? So I called my buddy that brought her as the date to the networking party. And I'm like, hey, yo, does your girl sell for Mary Kay for a living or something? He's like, yeah, that is what she does. She's with Mary Kay. And so I explained to Amy, I said, listen, if you want to go get your face done, that's awesome. But here's the thing, this lady's going to pitch you on Mary Kay. And it's not a respectable pitch in my opinion, because she presented it as in, oh girl, I just want to put some makeup on you and make you all pretty and everything. And there was no mention of, and then I'm going to make you feel weird until you buy Mary Kay or pressure you into our stuff. Or there was never any association. Right now, maybe Amy would have took her up on that offer if she said, listen, I work for Mary Kay. I'd like to put this stuff on you because I think you're beautiful. Right? Amy would have probably been like, okay. Knowing her, right? That would have probably been exactly what she did, but this lady wasn't honest with her. I have people hit me up all the time with like these amazing opportunities that sound badass and the numbers look good, and then they hit me up and turns out it's some kind of multi-level marketing thing. I've been to a party before that turned out to be a multi-level marketing sales pitch. I know guys have met chicks on Tinder that have gone to their house thinking they're going to get laid, and it's been a multi-level marketing pitch. So that industry will do anything to get in front of people, only further proving two things. It's full of idiots, and it's full of products that you have to trick people into selling. If you have to trick people into, if you got to trick people for a living, that's fucked up, man. That's not good sales. That's just fucked up. It's not cool at all. Number 3, telemarketers. First of all, telemarketers includes people that cold call. Boy, I know y'all hate me for that shit. Cold calling still works, right? I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of things that still work these days, right? Doesn't mean that I'm doing them. The rotary phone still fucking works apparently, right? But I don't have one, okay? Right? Sending ham radio satellite signals still fucking works, but I don't have one. Listening to FM radio still works, but I'd rather use Spotify. There's lots of things that still work that are old school that I don't have to fucking deal with anymore. And that's the way people feel about cold callers. Right? Whether you want to hear this from me or not. Now, maybe you make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year cold calling, right? Maybe you're a badass at that, and congratulations. By all means, I'm not telling you to quit your job or whatever, but know that 93% of all calls go unanswered. And these days, in the sense, instead of cold calling, you can just record a slide dial message and broadcast that bitch out to a warm list. You don't have to cold call anybody. They'll listen to it when they have time, and they'll make a decision based on anything. It's just so old school. And telemarketers, man, when they call you and they want your donations or when they want this, that, and the other, it's just nobody's answering phones. Right now, if you call me and my phone doesn't have a name that pops up, like if it's just a number that pops, I'm not answering it. I don't care. It could be anybody. I don't care. I'm not answering it. You know why? Because it's a fucking stranger. You know what strangers call people? Telemarketers, right? And so we know that, and guess what? So is the public. And the public has this consensus of people are calling me that I don't want to talk to, because guess what? Thanks to text messages, people feel like phone calls that's like FaceTime. A phone call is like second next to, like FaceTime, you feel like you're really there. You'd be like, hey girl, get naked for me, right? I mean, that's what Amy and I do or don't, it doesn't matter. So, and then on FaceTime, right, you got like, you at least see the person, right? Then on the phone, that's like the next intimate thing, right? Before FaceTime, it was, hey babe, talk dirty to me. That's like some intimate shit. Well, now we have text message. I don't know about you, but pictures aside, nobody's really text message flirting each other, right? Text message, like nobody's got thumb density to be able to handle that, right? So what's going on there is like text messages and voicemails are very impersonal, no big deal. But man, to get somebody on the phone, man, sometimes it takes an act of God. It's 93% failure rate. And so telemarketers are a waste of time. If the public and the marketplace have said 93% of the time, we don't want to fuck with you, right? Then it's probably not a good idea to remain in that industry for much longer. I know a lot of people that I know that own call centers are losing money, right? They're nowhere there. One time they were making shit tons of money, but now thanks to social media, inbound marketing, the Google ad display network, and every other way that you can gather inbound leads, there's just more efficient ways. And number 2 was actually surprised that it wasn't number 1. I'm not going to lie. Especially in the Sales Talk with Sales Pros group, the car guys catch hell. That's because the cars, much like multi-level marketing, there's a lot of, we'll say, idiots in the business, right? I mean, we can all admit that. And there's some great people in the car business too. I have friends of mine that own dealerships that make millions of dollars a year, that are good people, right? I have friends that work in finance that make, $250,000, $500,000 a year, that are good, smart people. But the average car salesman is a bumbling moron. I know. I just bought a McLaren from a bumbling moron. A fucking McLaren. You would think when you would buy a car that brand new costs $300,000, you would think when you're going to go buy a car of that caliber, the person that represents that dealership would just be one of the smartest, sharpest people ever, right? Like you would expect that. That's not the case, right? In the case that they lost my paperwork, and it was just a fucking nightmare for them, right? It was actually pretty good for me because they lost my paperwork for 2 months. So I basically drove the car for free for 2 months and didn't have to pay for it. And they're just now catching up to me, so it worked out. But meanwhile, I had to endure this bumbling idiot every day calling me with new excuses. And if you followed me for any amount of time, say it with me now when it comes to excuses. Fuck them, that's right. And so here's the thing. Car sales, they just get a bad thing because people don't know. They don't know if they're overpaying, underpaying. And until you've bought, I'm at a point now where I bought about 30 cars, so now I know, right? But the first 25, they definitely got over on me. The next 25 are going to be mine. Right? And I mean, I'm not going to beat a car salesman down. I've paid plenty of them. I've paid enough in the past to pay for the next 200. I promise you, I've paid more than my fair share on cars. And I'm not going to go beat somebody up and hurt them out of a sale. But at the same time, I understand that the car salesman generally has no idea how the car is priced. They have no idea on the rebates. They have none of that stuff. But they like to pretend they do. And it drives the public crazy. And then the public's also misinformed as well. They think that they can get $30,000 off of a $40,000 car with rebates and everything else, which causes the conflict and causes most people not to like car sales. But the number one, I was surprised, right? And I didn't see this one coming, and neither did my team. But the number one, I didn't want to write it down until we got there. But what do you think it is? Just pause right now. What's the first thing that popped in your mind? So if you know it's not Meatmen, if you know it's not MLM, if you know it's not telemarketers or car salespeople, who the fuck could it be? Coaches? Nah, it's not coaches, right? Who else could it be? Lawyers. Everybody said that the worst salespeople are lawyers. And here's why I think that is. First of all, a lot of people don't classify lawyers as salespeople, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're selling you on their services, then they've got to go sell a court or a jury, a judge or a jury, on the fact of whether you're innocent or not, or whether the fact that you're right or you're wrong, right? So, I mean, they are salesmen, true together. But here's the thing. You would think of a lawyer as a well put together, well organized person. And then when you meet them in real life, you realize that they're more of the entrepreneurial or the more book smart and not necessarily street smart, the better, right? The ones that you see on TV, the lawyers that you see in Law and Order, those are like that. First of all, that's not how the shit goes anyway, right? Most being a lawyer is paperwork anyhow. It's very little appearance in the courtroom and a whole lot of paperwork. That's the actual essential breakdown of a lawyer. So people expect their lawyers to be super intelligent, super sharp, and lawyering simply comes from experience. And so the public also, you think about this, when the public goes and meets up with lawyers, that's usually in a negative situation. You're getting sued, you have to sue somebody, you need legal advice, you're in trouble, you're criminal trouble, whatever. The lawyers generally are somebody that you go see when you're in a bad situation. Somebody died, you're fighting a will, you're paying taxes, right? It's not like, hey, I'm on top of the world, I should go see a lawyer. However, that's what I did back in 2013. I said, you know what, I'm making decent money and I need to get a lawyer on my team. I went through probably 5 of them. And it wasn't that they weren't educated. It wasn't that they didn't go to Harvard. I fired one from Harvard. And it wasn't that he cost too much money. It was that they just didn't get it. Most of them just didn't get it. And then when they did get it, they have so many clients and they make so much money per hour that if you're a single lawyer and you're making $200 per hour, you only got to work a couple hours per day to get like a significant amount of money each year. If you're working five days a week, 2 hours a day, $250 an hour, it don't take much to cover the Rolls Royce and the $1 million home payment. And then you ain't got to put in a lot of hours and they really don't give a shit. And so it's really hard to find the lawyer. And so you pair that with the negative experience of the public and then the fact that the experience that they're having to go through to see the lawyer because of the negative experience the public's going through, and then the fact that most of them are incompetent and book smart, however not socially smart, is a big problem because you expect them to be this like fancy pants CSI lawyer. Well, you see here in the jury right here, if the glove does not fit, you must have quit, right? But that's not the case, right? They usually show up and they're just like, dude, I remember I hired this one guy. One time he showed up and his hair was all rustled up. He looked like the fucking nutty professor, and he had a coat that he probably got when he graduated college 30 years prior in the 70s. And he's like shuffling his paperwork. And dude, my life's on the line, right? I'm about to go to jail, right? And this guy's like shuffling his paperwork and he's like, are you Mr. Stewman? I'm like, bitch, I have been to your fucking office 6 times. I had another lawyer. I'm fighting a federal case. I paid this guy 50 grand. And I'm fighting a federal case, right, for gun trafficking. And we go into the court and he says, Your Honor, Mr. Spillman. I'm like, my motherfucking name is Ryan Stewman. Like, I've been fucking paying you money every single month and going to your office for like 3 fucking years now fighting this federal case. Well, did you just call me Mr. Spillman? Like, it just fucking, the incompetency is deep. And this is one of the most expensive, hey, and I'm just want to point out that the gentleman that called me Mr. Spillman is now a state fucking senator. These are also, we should fucking add -1 for politicians, right? They're just saying somebody elected this moron that couldn't even remember my name in court after spending a massive amount of time with him and everything else. Go figure, right? Politician. When all else fails, go do that job. So anyway, let's talk about the 5. Number 5, meat men. Number 4, MLM. Number 3, telemarketers. Number 2, car sales. Number 1, fucking lawyers. Here's the thing. If you work in one of these jobs, matter of fact, if you're a lawyer, according to Business Insider, your job is the number 1 job on the line right now on threat by AI. They say that sites like, LegalZoom and many more will replace you, and they say doctors are number 2. So just the thing about it, I consider doctors some of the best salespeople on the planet because they have the ultimate close. They say, but you could die. Well, okay, in that case, I'll take it. So, I mean, that's like, what if you could say, if you don't buy this car today, you could die. Well, by all means, throw me the keys. I'll sign whatever you need, right? That's like the ultimate close. And you're surely not arguing price at that point. But so lawyer's job is a huge, like artificial intelligence is threatening it. So listen, if you're a lawyer right now and you possess social skills and sales skills, get out while you can. Check out funnelcloser.com. If you're in car sales, again, we got places like Carvana that right now their stock's losing a little bit of money. But man, once they figure it out and scale it, it's going to bring a big change. It's going to bring a big change to the car sales world too. Telemarketers, just hang the phone up, right? MLMers, listen. There's a right way and a wrong way. Don't bother people that don't want to. If you want to get good at MLM, learn how to make sales funnels, learn how to add value. Follow people like Shaun T from Beachbody or like Chalene from, I think she's with Beachbody too. Like, but follow, or maybe she's Visalis, but like follow those people, Ryan Blair from Visalis, and see how they position themselves to where they have attraction marketing, where people come to them and say, hey, I want to be a part of your team. Because that's really what it's all about. And number 5, meat men, just don't knock on my door. So, hey, if you dig this thing, it's funny, you know somebody who works in these industries who needs to get the fuck out, share it with them, and we'll catch you next week on Whiteboard Wednesday.